When somebody meets you, what are the first 3 words that you want them to get from you that you aren't already? What's something that you personally are striving to be? Do you want people to meet you and say, wow, she's such a warm and welcoming person? Do you want people to say, oh my goodness, her feminine energy is off the charts? Like, I just kind of want to be around that. Do you want people to say, oh, you could tell she takes care of herself? Do you want people to say that woman has boundaries? I like that. What is it? What 3 words come to mind that you want people to associate with you that you may not be yet, but you're striving to be? The first 3. Peaceful is a good one. Really take some time to think about that. What is it? "100% secure." Absolutely, I feel that. Because you can tell when somebody is secure within themselves. It's very apparent. Simplicity, strategy, steadiness. Healed, self-loving. Oh, y'all are putting them in. I can't. Okay, jump to the first unread. Distinct. Ooh, carefree and fearless. Yes, yes, yes. That's important. Classy, warm, and feminine. Yes. Kind, pleasant, and wise. Feminine, welcoming, and self-loving. Focused, driven, inspiring. Honest, peaceful, valuable. These are really good. Soft, caring, feminine. What's interesting is that a lot of these things we probably used to be, but life, relationships, family, and experiences have kind of changed how we are with ourselves, which has an impact on how other people view us. So if you are someone who wants to be self-loving and considerate and kind, you're probably someone who was a long time ago. And then after a while, you was like, you know what, forget it. I don't got time for this no more. It ain't worth it. Every time I try to do it, y'all play games, you lie, you don't listen. So now I'm shutting my emotions off and I'm wiping my hands with you. I can't. I've been her, man, and I was her very well. Very well. But I had to choose. I had to choose to be a different version of myself despite how I felt like I had every reason to not be. Every single reason. And I was like, you know what? Let's not allow things of the past to have complete control over what it is that I want to become. It's very hard to become someone who is warm and welcoming, but you have trust issues and you don't like people. So you have to work on, like, why don't you like people? What is that about? What is it? Like, it's usually a reason. A lot of people, they don't take the time to really understand other people, to truly try to figure out what something must have happened. What happened to cause this person to act like that? Most of the time we're so in our own world and we've gone through our own stuff that we're like, it don't matter. That's none of my business. I didn't do it to you. So you need to figure it out. And I won't even say that that's a bad thing, because that is a way for you to protect yourself. But we also are always looking for people to kind of care about us too, when we're the ones that is misunderstood. So it's the reason why, in order for you to even receive like understanding and patience, you have to give it, because nobody kind of wants to give it to someone that can't, reciprocate the same commitment, energy, or any of those type of things. But we kind of forget that just the same way that someone hurt you, someone hurt someone else too. So who's going to be the one to say, hey, and this is outside of romantic relationships, but even platonic relationships, friendships. A lot of us as women, we don't do well with other women for reasons that don't even have to have anything to do with the other woman, but ourselves. And it's the main reason why I want to constantly build this community, because we have to find a way to no longer judge each other, compare ourselves to each other, but instead embrace each other and welcome each other, so that can become something that's the standard. It shouldn't be surprising to meet another woman and she's nice. That should be normal, but it's not. A lot of times the encounter is like, oh, I don't know, she probably got attitude, she don't look happy, she look like she yell a lot. And sometimes that's true, it's true, but it doesn't have to be. So I see a lot of trustworthy, friendly, and caring. Do you know that friendly was one of mine? I had to really work on trying to figure out how how to become friendly, because I'm the type of person, I used to be like, well, I'm just not for everybody. So, but not being for everybody doesn't mean you have to be just nasty or rude. Like, you can not be for everybody and it's still a thing that's like, okay, well, you know, not your cup of tea. I don't expect to be, but I don't have to be rude. I don't have to be abrasive. And I think sometimes we're like that to protect ourselves. But you don't have to protect yourself here. One thing that I tell all of my coaching clients is that this is a place for you to feel vulnerable. I will never make you feel like you can't be vulnerable. If you are ever in an environment where you cannot be vulnerable, you will never truly be able to tap into the feminine part of you that you're looking to tap into. You will never be able to tap into the nurturing part of you that you're looking to tap into, because you don't feel safe enough to do so. So that's also why we have to be mindful of where we're putting ourselves in positions and environments, because we place ourselves in environments that don't make us feel safe, and then we're wondering why we're in survival mode, hustle mode, and we can't help but to be in the masculine energy all the time. There's nothing wrong with being in the masculine energy, but sometimes we even want to break from that. But how do you get a break from being in that energy if every place you turn, you're surrounded by people who don't make you feel safe enough to just be? We have to be more intentional with where we're allowing ourselves to flow and go. Our problem is having so much understanding that I lose the boundary. That is most of our problem. That was my problem. That was why I was divorced. That was why I was a single mom. That was why I had friends that I no longer talk to. You see, you want to do so much for other people that you forget about yourself. And you no longer feel comfortable saying no. You no longer feel comfortable just saying, you know what? It's probably not a good idea. I need to stick to my boundary. And that's what we're going to talk about. Alrighty. So for those of you who may not have been in a session with me before, a course with me before, I want to start, before I go dive into preaching and teaching, I want to start with who I am. My name is Adrianna Onubogu. Some of you may know me as Miss April Mason's daughter. Some of you simply know me as a woman who figured out how the hell to change her life from being a single mom with 3 kids to getting married again and not actually being miserable. So many of you come to me and like, how the heck did you date again after divorce, trust again after divorce, make time for yourself as a mom? Like, are you a robot? Like, what? How did you do this? And today we're going to talk about it. I'm going to actually go, I'm not going to go in as much detail because, like I said, I don't want to take up your whole Saturday. And we're going to be doing this as we go into the new year. Thank you, ladies. Believe it or not, that is a AI photo. So that's not even me, but it was really close to me that I kept it. I was like, oh, they hit it right now. Like, that really looks like me. So, and it's really cute. So I'm going to take that, especially the blue lipstick. But I was a woman who was on the same journey that you are on right now. I'm still even in my own journey because I feel like, you know, to just say thanks. I just wanted to let y'all know AI is dope. But I'm a woman who was on the same journey that you are on right now. And I'm still on my own self-discovery and personal journey, just in a different stage. And one of the things that, if you don't take away anything else, if you're not able to stay for the whole time, one thing I want you to know is that you never have to lose yourself again in any relationship, friendship, or situation. It is a very dangerous thing to do. And we're never going to do that again. I'm also going to, of course, have a time for Q&A so that I can really go in depth with some of you ladies, especially because I want you guys to be able to talk. But I don't want any distractions. So I'm going to go through this. There's some questions on here that I highly suggest you write down for yourself to answer. We won't be able to go through every single question together, but the ones that I will talk about, I'll go into. But these 4 right here, the self-discovery questions, these are questions that I specifically ask myself. After I went through a divorce, I was like, okay, first I was a teen mom. Now I'm divorced. Now I have 3 kids, and I feel like I'm back where I started. How do I keep getting in this position? What is it that I'm missing? What is it that I'm missing that's keeping me going in this never-ending circle? Because it makes no sense. And instead of pointing to the finger at every person in my life, I was like, you know what? I realized I actually have more control over my life than I thought I did. So let me go back into really figuring out who the heck Adriana is. And these, as simple as this might look, these were the areas of questions that I asked myself so that I could figure out how to properly heal after going through a divorce and becoming a single mom. Not even necessarily that's even a bad thing, because I was a single mom in a sense when I had my daughter. I got pregnant on my first time and had my daughter going on 18 years old. And my life was actually easier during that stage of my life than it was when I was married and after I got divorced. And I really was trying to figure out, like, why is that? And it's because even though I went through that situation as a teen, I was still building my life so that even when I fell, I landed on a soft pillow. When you merge your life with somebody else and you try to kind of give them leeway and hand things to them, and things don't go as planned, and you're no longer the only person that you have to consider when it comes to making a decision, the fall hits harder. And it makes it more difficult to really have control over your life when you're kind of merged with somebody else. So after my divorce, I was like, wow, okay, I really need to go back to my roots and figure out what is it that I'm doing that's causing me to make these type of decisions. What is it that I'm doing? Because at this point, I can only allow what I want to allow from people. So why am I allowing myself to be attracted to friends, jobs, and relationships that are short term, but I'm doing things with these people that are long term? How am I not picking up on those things? What is it? It takes a long time to get to the point of like self-reflecting if you're still blaming everybody else. And that doesn't mean that other people don't have their role, because they do. Other people have their role to play in why things happen, but you're the only one that has control over what you're going to do about it. If we sit and think about all the people who've done this and who've done that, we're going to be sitting here talking forever, because those people will be going and living their lives. They probably already are and can care less about you. I knew that was the case for me. That's why I was like, okay, I'm not about to be sitting here trying to figure out why. It's not even about why when it comes to them, but it's about why when it comes to me. Why did I do this? So the first stage for me was figuring out, who am I? What brings me joy and fulfillment? What are my passions? And when was the last time I felt like myself? What was I doing? And that one really hit me in particular, because I was like, wow, the last time that I felt like I was myself was when I was single, was when I was by myself and I had control over my life. I had control over my household. I had control over everything, not in a controlling way, but in a safe way. I cultivated everything. I cultivated everything for myself. I was very intentional about every single decision I made when I was alone, when it was just me and my daughter. Yes, I got pregnant early. but I never had to raise her by myself. Her dad was and is very active. In addition to that, I bought my house at 21. I had a career, where was that? Working for the state patrol, fresh out of high school. I was getting my associate's degree. My home was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. My mortgage was like, y'all, I'm not even lying. It was like 545. I specifically did everything based on my income, my credits. I wasn't playing about my credit. When I found out that I was having a child, I got my first credit card as a college student with Wells Fargo, and I used it for diapers. I used it for wipes. I used this for this, all the things. I paid it off, and I watched my credit score build. I was extremely, extremely, like, I was her. The version of myself that I lost, I was her. Even after getting pregnant early and becoming a single mom. I won't even say I was a single mom. I was just a mom that was single, because I didn't do everything by myself. But I figured out how to make things happen, and it felt great. I ended up leaving that job, got another job as an assistant manager working for a finance company, made more money. Like, listen, I was like, okay, life is not so bad. That was the last time that I felt like myself. After that, I married someone that I knew since middle school, helped him raise his daughter. We both had daughters. I did a lot of things that relinquished my control over my life, because I was trying to help. I was trying to be for this child what someone else wasn't. I was trying to be for this man what someone else wasn't. And I lost sight of, like, the drive that I had. I was the type of person that truly, I found a sense of just like peace and belonging going to Barnes and Noble. Like, it's that simple. But I didn't feel comfortable being like that in my early 20s. I felt like something was wrong with it, because I'm supposed to be partying and I'm supposed to be doing all these things. And I lost sight of who Adriana was, but I knew who she was for a second. I did. And the last time I felt like myself was at that time, a time where most people would assume is the worst time of my life, because I had my daughter early. I walked across the stage in high school with a baby in my belly. I just knew people were like, oh my gosh, she's ruined her life. Only to end up having those same people come to me for credit advice to buy a house. Life was great. But what happened? I lost sight of being her. I downplayed myself a lot. I was like, yeah, I bought a house. It's not that big of a deal. Anybody could buy a house. I downplayed myself because I wanted to feel like everybody else, without realizing, no, you just go where you are appreciated and wanted. You don't try to lower yourself to be on someone else's level. And it's even these type of conversations that people make us feel bad for having, because it's like, well, you sound like you act like you're better than other people. It's not about being better than anybody, but being better than the version of yourself that you were a year ago. Because it was true. Going from someone who got pregnant on her first time, getting pregnant, you would assume for sure that, her life is over. Like, there's nothing that she's going to be able to do to get back on track. It's a wrap. But that wasn't the case. It actually did get better. So I should have been around people who were also progressing at my age. Instead, I stayed around people who were still doing things that they actually should have been doing at 19, 20, 21 years old, but they didn't have kids. So of course, what I'm doing is going to be different than what they're doing. And it's not about being better than anybody, but being better than myself, being better than what I know people expected from me. That is something worth celebrating and being proud of. But at the time, I just didn't see it. It took years later for me to be like, wow, I was exactly where I needed to be, and I lost sight of it, trying to fit in and being something that I wasn't, around people who were never on my level in the first place. But like I said, conversations about, oh, you're not on my level or blah, 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 blah. People take those as a very negative thing. They take those as a bad thing. And it's the reason why we try to be humble. We humble ourselves and we play small because we don't want to come off a certain type of way. But no, you the shit. It's okay to be the shit. And you should be around people who love that for you, not make you feel like it's a bad thing or like you're shaming someone else. How does me celebrating myself, what does that have to do with you? It took me a long time to get that mentality, but because I didn't have it, I went back to like, I don't know. I went to being the worst version of myself that I had never even experienced before. And I really sat and thought about that last question. When was the last time you felt like yourself? It was when I was by myself with my child, me and my kid. That's it. What do I value? Please believe that is such a deep question. I thought I knew, but I really had to figure out, okay, all the things that you thought you valued ended up showing up in other ways, and you realize you could actually live without that shit. That's not what you care about. But what are my core values? Where do these values come from? And what beliefs guide my decisions and my decision-making process? What beliefs, what things do you believe in, and why do you believe in them? What makes you believe in what you believe? What makes you believe that you have to hustle hard? Who told you that? And would you trade lives with the person that told you that? That's what I had to think about. What are my standards? How do I allow people to treat me? I was somebody, of course, I didn't realize this until after the fact. I was someone who did all this. I would never let nobody do that. I would never, you ain't gonna come at me like this. But I actually was allowing it in many different forms without realizing it, because I didn't really understand what my standards were. Because again, back to step number one, I really couldn't figure out like if it was okay. Is it okay for me to feel like this is what I deserve without other people making me feel like I'm doing too much? This is the reason why I wanted to do, again, I'm going to keep saying this. This is the reason why I wanted to do the Zoom and create a community for us to say, this is what I will allow. This is what I will not. We are at a stage right now in the world where women are not allowed to say this, because the moment that a woman says it, we are being unrealistic. I know when a woman is being unrealistic because I'm a woman. There's a difference between being unrealistic and knowing who you are and having standards for yourself. How do I allow people to treat me? Do I make myself a priority? Do I have expectations of others? I made myself a priority when it was just me and my daughter. I did not make myself a priority when I was married. And I barely made myself a priority when it was just me and my daughter because I was hustling. But I still was like, you know what? These are the things I need to take care of. This is going to be like this, blah, blah, blah. Yes, got it. Cool. I made myself, my lifestyle, a priority. But as a woman, I wasn't able to do that until divorced with 3 kids. Isn't that odd? Wouldn't you assume that you do that as you are like combining your life with someone else, or before you combine your life with somebody else? How can you even want to be with someone else when you're not already a priority to yourself? These are the things that I mean when I say we have to think about how we are placing ourselves in environments, because the side effects of where we're placing ourselves is going to be divorce. It's going to be being overwhelmed. It's going to be exhaustion. It's going to be so many things that we don't want, and we can't understand. How did I get here? Well, we are putting ourselves in these environments. We're placing ourselves there intentionally, because we forget that we could say, no, this is not it. It does not mean that you don't know how to compromise. It doesn't mean that you don't know how to make things about other people instead of yourself. It simply means you have standards. And if your standards is, I don't allow people to talk to me crazy just because they get upset, that's what it is. Of course, there's going to be situations where sometimes People get emotional, you get emotional, and all of those things. But your standards could also be, if someone realizes that they've done something to me, they need to apologize to me. They need to acknowledge how I feel. Because if somebody doesn't do that in just a regular friendship, why would they do that in any other area of your life? If you don't require that, you train people how to treat you by showing what your standards are. Your standards and your boundaries. Period. What are my boundaries? Listen, I'm not playing when I say I went through all 4 steps. And I was like, I don't think I have boundaries. I thought I had boundaries. I would say, oh, I'm going to leave. We can't be friends. But I would still be there because I would start feeling, oh, well, maybe she didn't mean, to do this thing that to me comes off as jealousy. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she's just going through so much right now. No, absolutely not. Do I have limits in relationships? I did not. I thought I did. I was all talk. All talk. How long can I go without self-care check-ins? I can't tell you how long I went without a self-care check-in. Too long. That I do know. Way too long. How comfortable do I feel saying no to people? I felt very uncomfortable saying no. I don't anymore, but I did. I want to know, do you feel uncomfortable saying no to people? Just type yes or no. I'm very curious to know how many of us share that same issue. Sometimes you kind of might want to say, well, I'm not sure. Well, it depends on who's asking. That's really good. Oh, hey, Chelsea. Glad to see you here. Valentia. Hey, girl. Depends on who. Okay. Working on it. Perfect. 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 We got to be able to say no. Sometimes saying no will save your life. It'll save you time and it'll save you money. We got to learn how to say no. Saying no doesn't mean that you have to say it with an attitude. Saying no doesn't mean you have to be rude. Saying no, I think, naturally makes people feel uncomfortable because you want to give. You, as a woman, you kind of you can't help it. When you are emotionally invested in something, you want to help. You want to give. You want to do as much as you can, but sometimes you need to preserve that for yourself. So this September, for everyone that said they had a trouble with saying no, we're going to work on that. You need to practice saying no. And when you say no to somebody, whether it's through text, over the phone, or in person, write down how it made you feel and why. Did it make you feel guilty? Why did it make you feel guilty saying no? What is it about saying no that makes you feel bad about it? Because it's not a bad thing. All right. Let's get into this healing. Are you currently on a healing journey? Let me know. I know everybody's in different phases. Some people have already healed and they're ready to get their life together. But let me know. Are you currently on a healing journey? Healing is a big deal. Healing, what you do during your healing journey sets the tone, girl. It sets the tone for so many things. Okay, a lot of us on a healing journey. Great. I'm glad I have you at this time of your life because you could do more damage if you're not doing the right things as you're healing. And you also can heal a lot quicker than you expected to if you are doing the right thing. That's what I'm talking about, Cassandra. Good for you. Wrap it up. Wrap it up and start on that self-love journey. So here are the things, not telling y'all anything different truly than what I would tell my daughters. Here are the things that I did for myself. Because I told you, I was a teen mom, but I felt like I kind of found a way to rebuild my life. Bought a house, had the career, got the car. I remember I got my car off the lot. I was doing my thing. And then it all came crashing down after realizing, wow, how did I go from this to this? And it's because I was not I wasn't operating in the way that I should have been when meeting people or vetting people. I wasn't vetting much at all. So in order for me to even get to a position to even be a wife again now, and this wasn't even what was on my forefront at all when I was on my healing journey. When I was on my healing journey, I strongly hated men. I didn't want to see a man or be bothered with a man. I just wanted to make sure I didn't lose what I had. I want to see if I still had it. And when I realized I did, I was like, okay, cool. Now I don't want to deal with you. Like, goodbye. I just kind of want to kick it with me and my kids. So you can imagine going from that to someone who was like, my man, my man, my man. It's not easy. It was work. But these are the 5 things. The 5 things that I did that helped. I cannot tell y'all how much it helped me. Vulnerability was a big deal. How many of you have a hard time being vulnerable? Or how many of you have it's very easy for you to be vulnerable? Is it easy or is it hard for you? It was so hard for me. Oh, it was so hard. Because I had to sit in my feelings. Oh, who wants to do that? Especially after going through. Child, vulnerability is scary. It was so scary for me. Because I was like, okay, I thought I was being vulnerable in this situation. I felt like my vulnerability got taken for granted. So now I'm closed off and I'm shut out. So how do I open that up again? Vulnerability was very difficult. It's easy for me with people I feel safe with. Yes. I wasn't even allowing myself to be around people I felt to figure out if they would make me feel safe or not. I was like, nope. No thanks. No thanks. It was bad. But learning to be vulnerable with myself started with me truly acknowledging my feelings to myself. Like, okay, Adriana, I know that, you have to be strong for your kids and all of this stuff. But how do you really feel? And mind you, I would have these conversations with myself in the shower. Not even gonna lie to you. How do you feel? I remember the day before my court date for divorce. I cried in the shower. I cried. And I didn't cry because I wanted to be with him. I cried because of what the marriage was supposed to stand for, what it symbolized to me, or what it was supposed to symbolize to me. I cried because I failed at giving my kids something that me and my ex said we were going to give them because we didn't have it, which was a 2-parent household. I cried because I feel like I lost myself and it felt like this situation wasn't worth losing myself over. I cried because I felt like I knew better. I cried because this was officially going to be me starting over again. I cried because I went into that particular marriage with 1 child, and then I came out with 3 because I had 2 with him. And I was like, wow. I was pissed. I was pissed. I cried because I was angry at myself. I cried because I was just like, what were you thinking? I beat myself up. I cried because it didn't make sense until it did. I had to be vulnerable. I had to be vulnerable with really how I felt. Instead of just it being this closed off, unbothered, nonchalant thing, it wasn't until I could really just let go how I felt and was honest with myself about how I felt. That level of vulnerability with myself is what taught me how to be vulnerable with other people. That right there. And I remember it was a day, I think maybe the kids were gone. I stayed in that shower and I cried. It was like the movie scenes, y'all. I cried. I was like, oh my God. Come to find out, the court date was actually on his birthday. So I was like, okay, maybe that's a sign. I don't know. But I gotta go. I gotta go. I accepted it. Right. Happy birthday. I accepted it. I was like, okay. After some time, I was like, all right, get it out, get it all out, feel. But it won't help me playing the shoulda, coulda, woulda game. I had to accept it. I had to accept what my new reality was going to be. I had to accept that I tried, didn't work, but that doesn't mean that I can't try again in different ways. And right now, it's not going to be with the guy, but it's going to be with myself. I have to accept and try again when it comes to loving myself in the way that I want my daughters to love themselves and see me being loved by myself. So I had to accept it. Yes, accept the restart, because sometimes it's exactly what you need. And then the self-reflection. Self-reflection is what allowed me to realize, you know what? Regardless of how I might feel about him, there's so many situations now that I'm thinking about it that I should have responded differently, and I didn't. I just let things happen. And then I started thinking about how I would do that at work, how I would do that in my friendships. And I was like, I kind of have just been letting people get over on me because I didn't like confrontation. I didn't like, making people feel bad. I didn't like any of those things. But I was the one who ended up dealing with things because it's like I was trying to protect other people. That was when I realized, oh, I actually played a huge role in allowing this. Not that I'm blaming myself, but I see how I could have stopped it before it got to this point. And it didn't even occur to me until after the fact. And that was when the self-discovery for me started. My self-discovery journey was amazing. I really started to learn things about myself that I either forgot or I truly never knew. And I was like, oh, wow. So I remember, being called, when you're with certain people and they have a certain perception of you, I remember being called certain things. And then being on my own, I was like, actually, I'm not that. I was being that way because of my environment. Has nothing to do with my actual character, but certain things like was triggering me that I didn't realize. Certain things in this particular environment caused me to react in a different way than I would naturally want to because I felt like I had to. Doesn't mean that I'm this type of person. It actually means that I was just in the wrong pool of people. So I need to preserve this part of me so that this never happens again. One of the things that I remember hearing a lot, I don't remember who would say this to me. I don't remember if it was a friend or if it was an ex or what it was, but it was the word like selfish. And I was like, actually, I realized I'm very selfless. I only get selfish when I feel like I have to. Like whoever I'm around doesn't have my best interest, but I'm actually very selfless, which ended up being an issue because when you're very selfless and someone takes advantage of that, and when you say no, make you feel like you're being selfish, that is like, that's an issue. And the issue is not necessarily you, it's how people can perceive you when you tell them no, and then they label you as selfish. Context matters. Sometimes we've been called a lot of things. But the context of it all matters. Am I really selfish? Or are you just not getting your way? Do I not know how to communicate? Or is communicating with you difficult and it caused me to yell at you all the time? Because I don't do that with these people over here, but for some reason, I do that with you. Embracing the new normal. Embracing the new normal for me was, I actually ended up loving my life. At the time of the vulnerability stage, I had no idea that I would get to where I wanted to embrace the new normal and just be like, yes, oh my God, this is amazing. But I did. And it's what made me actually say, you know what, maybe if I get married again one day, maybe I'll get married in like sometime in my 30s. I don't know. Who cares? But I love finding me. I love this version of myself. I love this new space that I'm in. I completely like started renovating my house, just out with the old, in with the new, and really even decorating my home the way I wanted to, with no influence from anybody else. And the house ended up making me feel safe and comfortable. It was a safe haven for me, truly. And it wasn't until about maybe 5 years after I bought my house that I finally felt that way. Because the years before that, it was all about everybody else and it was never about Adriana. So embracing the new normal for me was just exhilarating, because it was like, wow, finally there's something for me, something that I can like look forward to, that I have control over, and that feels comfortable. Do you know your authentic identity? So these are some of the questions that I also want you to ask yourself. Write these down. Write these down. I'm only going to touch on one question on each slide, but I want you to write these down for yourself so that you can go back and reflect and think about these things and carry them with you into the month of October. Have you made space in your life for self-discovery and introspection? Or have you been too busy or distracted to connect with your true self, which is what's putting you in survival mode? I highlighted this one because this is one that I really wanted to talk to you ladies about. Have you made space in your life for self-discovery? Or are you always on the go? Are you always busy? Is there something that always needs to be done? Do you ever sit still long enough to figure out, am I doing this because I want to or because I have to? Is this a part of like who I am or who I've become because of my environment? When is it about you? When is there a time in your life, in your day, where you can actually like sit back and figure out, why am I hustling so hard? Is there another way to go about doing this? When you're not able to live in the moment and like actually live, that is how your survival mode gets activated. It's super subtle, very easy for your survival mode to get activated. Very easy. All you have to do is forget about yourself and think about all the things on the to-do list, all the things for your kids, all the things for the family, trying to break financial generational curses, trying to move up on your career, trying to buy the kids this. What about you? When do you sleep? When do you rest? And I'm not just talking about 4 hours of sleep. When do you rest? When does your mind rest and reset? If you don't take the time to do that, you will never be able to sit with yourself and think about who you are, who you're becoming, what you want, and how to actually get to that. You will always be going on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Where is your self-worth? Please write these down. If you need me to go back to the other slide, let me know so that you can write down all the questions. Let me know. What negative influences or relationships in your life may be affecting your sense of self-worth? I hope we are not watching these podcasts that are telling us, go back. Okay. I'll go back for a second. I hope that we are not watching these podcasts that are telling us what we should be saying we want because of what other people think. I hope we're not doing that. I hope that we're not listening to people who have never stepped foot in your shoes telling you what you should and should not be asking for. I really hope we're not doing that. I don't care if it's your mother. If you are surrounded by people that you would not trade lives with, and they're telling you things that, oh, you're asking for too much, that doesn't make sense, I don't really know if that's a good idea for you. No, ma'am. There are some things that you can accept, and there's some things that you don't. Those are the things that are going to determine your self-worth. A lot of those things, honestly, have a lot to do with things that we may have heard people say or put on us. Like, oh, you're just like everybody else. There's nothing special about you, girl. I actually had someone tell me that. I had a girl, I went to school in California. I had a very unstable childhood. I moved around a lot. So I went to like 7 different high schools. And I remember going to school in California, and there was a Asian girl. I think she was kind of popular, but there was an Asian girl who sat in front of me, and she I don't know how we even got on this topic or what it was we were talking about. I think we were sitting in like a sex ed class. And I remember us having a conversation, and I remember her saying to me that there didn't seem like there was anything special about me. And I was like, huh? She's like, there's nothing special about you. You seem regular to me. It doesn't seem like there's anything like special. Do you know, years later, I made a Facebook post. And when I say years later, I mean at least 10 years later. I made a post on Facebook about remembering someone saying that there wasn't a lot special about me, and choosing to not allow that to impact how I viewed myself, and instead keep going. Do you know this girl commented and was like, wow, someone said that to you? That's crazy. I said, yeah, girl, it was you. You said it to me. It was just another reason for me to be like, you know what? This is why you don't wait for closure from other people. Because these people will forget that they ever even hurt you. Of course it hurt when she said it to me. But I was like, dang, that was kind of messed up. Only for this same person 10 years later to be like, what? I can't believe someone will say that about you. You're amazing. Like, oh my God, I've watched you, bro. Girl, you said it about me and you don't even remember. But most people don't. When people hurt you, especially if you don't say anything about it, because I didn't say anything. I think my disposition changed, but I didn't say anything because I was never super vocal like that. I just kind of internalized it and, was like, man, like, okay, I wonder if that's true. It's like, there's really nothing special about me. Yeah, she apologized. She did. She was like, oh my God, I do not remember saying that. I'm so sorry. I was absolutely wrong about that. I know. You couldn't see what I saw, but that's okay. All right, I'm going to go to the next slide. The next slide, ladies. So you can write these questions down too. That could have impacted my self-worth. Yeah, I hope she did learn that lesson, but I also learned a lesson too. That is the most important lesson. It's the reason why, if you noticed, I did not put anything about closure. Nothing about closure on my healing journey, because closure doesn't do anything, because you have to bank on the other person who hurt you either realizing that they hurt you or even caring that they hurt you. And sometimes people don't even remember that they hurt you. They didn't think that whatever they did was bad enough for you to be hurt by it. Can you imagine what you would do waiting for somebody to realize that they hurt you? And they're like, you were hurt off of that? I didn't even mean it like that. So for years, I've been sitting here angry and mad and just all of these things because somebody told me there's nothing special about me. What? Oh, I can't wait till the next time I see her. I'm going to find her. Only for her to be like, oh my God, girl, you're beautiful. Huh? Me? I'm still holding on to the very thing that you said. The very thing that you said to me about me. And this person has gone and lived their life, and all they can offer you is an apology. Isn't that crazy? We cannot hold on to everything that people say to us or even do to us. Not that they should get a pass and we should let it go. Not that at all. But because it's very possible that we will stop our lives for somebody who doesn't even realize they impacted our life at all, only to just get, oh, I'm so sorry. That's all I've been waiting on? No, I can heal, feel how I feel without getting the I'm sorry, but accepting it whenever it comes. Do you have realistic standards? We're going to talk about this. I'm going to let you all write, because this is kind of long. I'm going to let you write the question, and I'm going to see if there's any issues, because I believe some people are probably getting kicked out at the 100 mark, but it should be allowing more people to come in. I don't want anyone to miss it. So I want you to sit with this for a little while, write them down, and I'll be back in just a second. Okay, it looks like everyone should be able to come in. I'm back. Alrighty. Do you have realistic standards? How do you handle situations where your standards are not being respected? Now, that's a question that I want to ask you, ladies. What do you do? What do you personally do when your standards, or what have you done when your standards have not been respected? I know what I've done. I have vocalized in the past, I've vocalized like, what? You know, that doesn't really make sense. I don't understand why you would do something like that. I'm not okay with that. And I would kind of wait for an apology. I will wait for the banter, the back and forth, and trying to be heard, of why I feel the way that I do. And that's it. Now, if my standards are not being respected, I remove myself. Depending on the situation, I may or may not vocalize anything. And if I do vocalize it, I vocalize it in a way that I will want someone to speak to me. I've gotten better. So there's levels, okay? So before the beginning, the more naive and, pure version of myself was just trying to vocalize how I feel. And I don't understand, like, why you would do this and blah, 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 blah. Then I kind of graduated to leaving in the sense of like, I'm out. There's no discussion. It is what it is, whatever. Now I'm at a place to where I will leave, but not in the way that I would leave before. Before I was very flighty, very, very flighty. And I would leave after yelling, cussing, whatever, and just dipping. Now, I will graciously remove myself. I will make it clear that it seems like you don't care about what bothers me. So I'm going to let you do your thing. And I'll leave. And I won't ever speak to you again. Not unless I have to. Which I normally don't. I normally don't. But I have no problem saying like, what? Okay, it doesn't sound like you want to hear what I have to say. So I'm going to let you have a conversation with yourself. Bye. Or there was even a recent situation for me where someone wanted me to be on their podcast, and there was a certain time that I was supposed to go. I got there on time. She was still busy with her podcast, interviewing someone else. I waited for a little while, and she came out, and she was rushing to get like a tissue because whoever she was interviewing was crying. I understand even as a life coach, sometimes it's very hard to end a session with someone when they're crying. So I try to give them more time, and I just apologize to the next person because I don't want to be like, okay, girl, get the tears together because I got another person. I don't want to do that. So I let them feel, so I understand. Then 20 more minutes passed, and now it has been almost an hour from the time we were supposed to start our interview. And I never got an acknowledgement of like, hey, I'm so sorry, I'm behind. Hey, like nothing. She was in the other room, and I left. I was like, okay, because I carved out time to do this, but that doesn't mean that like I don't have other things to do. I value my time tremendously. Truly, because I feel like I've wasted so much time in other areas of my life that I truly value my time. And one of the things that I will not let anybody do is waste my time anymore. Not if I can control it. So I understood, it probably, she probably had things that she was trying to wrap up, and I get that. I'm the type of person that would at least, peek my head out and say, hey, I'm so sorry, I'm running behind. I will be with you, and just give me 20 minutes, like something, some type of dialogue. So I left, and I let the person who basically connected us, I let her know like, hey, she's still in the meetings. I have other things to do, so I'm going to go. Thank you for reaching out to me to do this. And, the woman was like, oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. And then I guess she got a text that was like, oh, she's actually available now. And I said, okay, well, I'm not. So thank you. Maybe we can reschedule another time. And I left. And I was like, it doesn't matter what area of my life it is. No, that's a standard. That's a boundary for myself. No, you don't have me waiting and don't say anything. I never got a follow-up email of an apology. I never got anything. So it made me feel good that I left when I left, because that would have frustrated me even more. It's the principle of the thing for me. And I realized that I truly do value the principle of the thing. It's just a level of respect. So even though I never directly spoke with her, my response to the action or behavior that I was receiving was I just removed myself. No bad blood. There's nothing. I don't know the person enough to even say anything negative about them, but that was a test for me on my standards and my boundaries. And I was like, yeah, no, because just because you are ready doesn't mean that I am. Now my time is in the forefront. And this is honestly something that I also do with my kids. If I say that you need to do this and you wait, now I'm not ready. Now you have to wait. It doesn't work like that. You don't get to just do whatever you want to do when it comes to me and my time. It just doesn't work that way. And it used to. It used to work that way a lot. So they'll comment on my body. I just looked at him. Okay. I used to do that all the time. Okay, you're accommodating and you make arrangements and all that. No, I don't do that anymore. Not unless I have to. And there's very select people in my life that I make, those reservations for. Like, all right, my grandma's one of them. If my grandma's like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then okay, granny. Even though this don't make no sense, I will give you a pass because you're my grandma. But not everybody gets that, and not everybody should. However you handle situations where your standards are not being respected, you need to make sure it's something that you can stand on, regardless of if people think you're being dramatic or not. Why do you think you allowed it? I think I allowed it because I did not like confrontation, and I wanted people to see how loyal I was. That was my problem. I wanted people to understand, like, I'm there for you. Like, I'm loyal. I'm here. And I realized that the more you try to prove yourself to people, the more they won't appreciate it, because You should never have to prove yourself to somebody. Like, obviously, when you're meeting people, everybody needs to learn, like, are you trustworthy? Like, let me see how this works. But you should never have to intentionally let me prove myself to you. No. Whenever you do that, it's usually with people who won't value it anyway. They just are like, oh, this person is willing to do X, Y, and Z for me, so I'm going to keep them for that because I know that they're going to do whatever I want. Instead of it being a genuine way of like, wow, this person is always there for me, like I value them. I was just always trying to show like I'm loyal, you know, I should be on your team, like you should have me, like, you know, overly trying to prove myself and getting, you know, behavior from others that I was like, wow, like this is how you treat people that are trying to show you that they're loyal? Okay. Are you nurturing your self-confidence? A lot of you are here because of this part. What about when you have clients that keep rescheduling at the last minute? I had a client reschedule meetings I made time for multiple times. Personally, I would tell that client, depending on how many times they've rescheduled, I would tell them that I either wouldn't be able to assist them, or I would tell them that we're going to have to reschedule it on my time, because it's the same thing across the board for me. Even though I might be your coach and I'm here for you, I'm still a human. I am still a person who has other clients as well. And setting up time for you to not follow through affects other people outside of just me. And I would express that. It would be truly a professional conversation about, I cannot rely on your schedule, so we're going to rely on mine. And if for some reason we keep running into this issue, we probably will need to pick this up at a later time in your life when you have the time for it. Because whether it's someone getting their hair done or life coaching, like I take what I do very seriously when I'm investing my time in helping somebody else better their life. But if you're constantly rescheduling for reasons that you may not have control over, we either A, need to go based off my schedule, or we need to put a halt so that we're not like running around with a chicken with her head cut off. Like, no, you cannot do that. After like 2 times, it will be, hey, we're probably going to just have to try this next month, because at this point, it's no longer about the money. If you would have asked me this 4 years ago, I would not have had these type of boundaries and standards for myself, because I used to deal with that because I needed money. I needed to pay my bills. When you're out of survival mode and you're no longer doing things because you have to, but because you genuinely want to, your whole perception of the situation is different, because it's coming from a place of like love and genuineness, instead of like, I have to pay my bills, so I have to deal with this. That is one of the reasons why I talked about the survival mode stuff, because survival mode puts you in a position to do things that you really don't want to do, but you feel like you have to. And when I was in survival mode, oh, best believe I was getting that treatment all the time. And I felt like I couldn't put boundaries. I couldn't put boundaries because I need the money. I need the money. This money's gone. I was literally paycheck to paycheck or client to client. I needed it. So I accepted stuff out of lack. But when you're not lacking anymore and you don't need the money to pay anything, it's like, okay, now I can actually, you know, sit back a little bit and be like, you know, that's not how my business is ran. We cannot do this. You know, we can't do that. So we either start at a time that you know you're available, or we try to go off of my schedule. But if we have too many reschedules, this is not going to work. It's not. Are you nurturing your self-confidence? I'm going to give you some time to write these questions down. But do you often second guess your decisions or choices, or do you trust your instincts and judgment? Oh my God. In case you didn't know, this is your intuition. Intuition. I did not listen to my intuition. I always, since I was in high school, I've always second guessed myself on tests, on quizzes. Like I always second guess myself, always overthinking, not trusting my gut, never believing in myself. And I would take a test and look at questions that I thought I knew the answer, erased it and changed it. And I realized, wow, you were right the first time. Why did you change it? Why are you second guessing yourself? I did that even going through real estate school. Why? Why are you second guessing yourself? You know this. Why are you not confident in this? Why aren't you following your intuition? And I noticed there are many times when I followed my intuition and I was right. But for some reason, it wouldn't compute. It wouldn't make me say, you know what? Most of the time when I follow my intuition, I'm correct. Most of the time when I second guess myself, I'm wrong. Why am I not just following my intuition? It's because it was still like I don't know. Maybe, am I too confident? I don't know. Like, is it this? Is it that? We have to get to a point where we trust ourselves. Once you're able to trust yourself and the decisions that you will make better decisions because you will be guided by your intuition. I'm going to give you a few more minutes to write down these 3 questions so we can get to our Q&A. Like I said, I don't want to hold you too long, but we had to have this girl talk. Man. This music is like a vibe. It is a vibe. All righty. I'm glad you're enjoying this. Hey, Alinda. It is a vibe. Let me go to my... Y'all, I listen to, like, I still listen to R&B. I don't really care about what all these other people... Everybody listens to all this other stuff. I still listen to R&B music, saxophone. Like, did the volume get low? I stopped talking because I was letting y'all write. Alrighty, we're got to go to the next one so we can get to our Q&A. You're so welcome, ladies. Seriously, like, I have been oh, you want me to wait? Okay, I'll wait. Where are the questions? Oh, you can't see it? Where are the questions? Felicia, let me know if you're having any issues because you should be able to see it on the screen. Oh my God, I agree, Trina. I agree. Like, seriously, it's a vibe. I feel like we all are like longing for the same thing, but we're like having a hard time getting it when it comes to anything. A lot of us who grew up on like R&B music, we're like, where did they go? Where did they go? Where's the like love and the passion and all of these things? It's like everybody hates each other now. What is going on? Where's the love? They used to make music about loving us and not wanting us to go, and now it's about being bent over and like just what? And don't get me wrong, that's fine too. But can we have some balance? Like, geez. I really feel like when we get to a position where we know how to set the tone as women, we will be able to get a lot of the things that we desire. But it starts with us. We have a lot of control over things that I don't think we really realize. But these next few months going into the new year, we're gonna reset and remember, rewind, all of that. All righty, going on to the next one. Oh, we here. All right, Q&A. So let me stop sharing so that I can unmute. And let's see. Okay, so I don't know if I should like unmute all at the same time, or if you have a question, just type me in the chat, and then I'll unmute you. You are so welcome. I'm so glad you ladies were here. Okay, I see you. I see you. I see you. Taylor. Alrighty. Go ahead, Taylor. What's up?
Happy Saturday, everybody. I just have a quick question. First of all, thank you. This was very good. What do you do when you have friends? You've said, hey, I feel that. So with me, I have a friend and we talk a lot. Mostly when she's going through something, she'll call. And then it's like when she gets good, I don't need you now. I'm going back to the things that I'm good about. And I've expressed it multiple times and it's the same thing. And so now it's like, oh girl, I'm healed. I'm brunching. I'm doing this because the pandemic has spoiled me where I'm inside a lot. I like being inside.
Same.
So I don't brunch and all of that stuff. Right. And then when stuff gets hard, real life stuff, I'm talking, because you can brunch girlfriends may not be intercessor friends for you. You know what I mean? And so I'm to the point now. Today was my wake up call to say all this stuff you're putting into other people for them to be happy and whole. Let's pull all of that back and put it into you, and then you'll be good. So I just wanted your opinion about that. That was all. And thank you.
So is the issue basically that you have like a wishy-washy friend who, when things are good, she doesn't need you, but when things are bad, she's pulling from you like a spiritual vampire, and you're trying to figure out like how to either wean her off or if you should wean her off or not?
The turning point was losing my mother and people not being there in the way I felt that I've been there for them. And that's a whole different ball game from other stuff.
Got you.
When you lose people, it puts you in a different perspective to see what's really important and what's fluff and what's real. Not really a spiritual vampire, just not feeling valued and feeling that it's a one-sided friendship. But when I mention it, you change a little bit, just enough to still be there and then revert back to.
How long have you all been friends?
2014 through a mutual friend.
Okay. Do you feel like she knows you, or have the conversations been surface level?
I went through a divorce from domestic violence. So status and money changed. And then I saw the difference from people. Yeah.
What about her?
I just think she was really good at hiding it. I think that my eyes became open.
Okay.
I don't think it ever, I don't know. I just see it now. Taylor, and I even asked her, say, do you think that you're a good friend to me as I am to you? And she said, no.
Okay. So it sounds like, Taylor, you know the answer to your question. Your intuition. What is your intuition telling you?
Adios.
What does your logical mind tell you?
Don't burn a bridge with people. Okay. But the emotional piece is, I don't want to deal with this anymore. So just cut it off.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. I'm not trying to go in life coach mode. I can't help it. But let me ask you a question. If you burn this bridge with her, what would you lose?
Nothing.
Or would she lose something?
She would lose everything. Cassandra, behind her is the Golden Gate Bridge, and I loved her view because I actually walked that entire bridge. Behind her head is a mountain. Like on that side, you have to ride the bike, right? And then on the other side, you walk. But if you look behind her at the back, you see the front of, like the beginning of the bridge. I feel that if I cut it, I won't lose anything. She will lose more than me. Yeah.
Okay. So you bring a lot of value to the friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And you are looking for somebody to treat you the way that you treat them. You're looking for reciprocity. And for over almost 10 years, it kind of feels like she's not able to give you what you're looking for. And we want to be nice, we want to be humble, we don't want to burn bridges. Some bridges need to be burnt. Sometimes you can burn a bridge because you know how to swim. It don't sound like you're going to need to go over there again. So because you probably won't need to go over there again, I highly suggest, you taking into consideration what you are teaching her about you, how to show up for you. If you vocalize, hey, you're kind of not really showing up for me the way I need you to, and you even ask, do you feel like you're showing up for me? And she says no, that means that we've been rewarding bad behavior. And because you've had such a huge change in your life, it's time for you to not accept that type of behavior anymore, especially if you can't get what you're giving. That goes for anybody. It wouldn't matter if she was a family member or a boyfriend. It is unfair to you to continue to pour and get to a place in your life where now you need to be poured into. You've endured a loss, and there's no telling how that impacts you. I'm sure it could possibly make you very emotional. It could make you value time. It could make you value family, love, and friendships. This person is not, she's not fitting. And the longer that you allow her to think it's okay to not meet you halfway, she's going to keep not meeting you halfway. And I don't think that's fair.
Okay.
But you have to not feel guilty. Don't feel guilty for burning the bridge because you won't ever cross it anyway.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Miss Sarah, what's up?
Hey girl. First of all, your mom is goals and your goals too.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, just epic family. Love it, love it, love it. Very inspirational.
Thank you.
I just have one question that I've been struggling with ever since my journey. I just want to know one thing. How do you know when you're healed or if you're healed?
It depends. So there's never truly an ending to healing. There is like progress. You're going to be healing in different areas of your life, but you know when you've made progress in that area when you start to get a different reaction or response from how you react to a situation. So it really depends on the area of healing. What area are you focusing on?
I'm in a similar situation to yourself where I just recently came out of marriage. And I mean, I guess you're right. Like, as you were saying, progress, when you said that word, I'm like, oh, okay. So I was just
Yeah.
kind of writing it down and just processing in my mind. Because, yeah, you're right. Certain things I don't react like I used to, but um, there's triggers.
Of course.
Like just this
Of
week,
course.
the father of my child, like I just disconnected and I just didn't feel like responding to his messages, etc. Because like he'll check up on our daughter, but because I was triggered about something and I was processing it, like before I would have just like, I'm a Leo and I'm true to myself, but
Oh God, you Leos.
before I would have just I would have really just like spoken my mind, just said something without like thinking it through first. But I have now, progressed
Yes.
where I'll think things through, think about my answer, formulate my answer, write it down even, and then edit it, and then be like, okay, this is what I want to say.
Mhm.
So, I'm not again, to what you just said, I'm not completely there. I'm not there yet. It is a progress.
Yes.
it's a work in progress, but I think I just struggle with the fact that I'm like, why I'm really like on this question for myself. I'm like, okay, like, am I healed? Am I healing kind of thing? Like, I guess I've just been questioning if I'm really, healing,
Yeah.
right?
I
Because if
think
things
that,
are still triggering me.
yes, but that's the thing. You're not going to get to a point where you're numb. So the idea of being healed sometimes makes people think that it means that you're unbothered. You're not going to always be unbothered. There are moments that I even have sometimes when I watch my husband. He's very invested, even though his my stepsons, they live in another state. He's very invested in their lives. He's still very invested in how he's like emotionally available to them, how he communicates with them. And I wish that my kids had that. And I still have moments where I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. It's like a joke. Like, how do I end up with somebody who pours this into, especially his son? And I'm married to my ex is somebody who I feel like I wish that my son could specifically get that thing from him. And I have an amazing life, but I still will have conversations with him and just be like, it's not fair. That is so
Thank you.
unfair. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't mean that I'm gonna go, bust the windows out of his car, or I'm gonna send him a long text, but you're still gonna feel. There's still gonna be things that make you remember. And it's like, this is frustrating. I wish that I didn't have to deal with this. However, it's perfectly normal. It doesn't mean that you're going backwards. Going backwards is you sending these super long text messages and acting crazy, but it just means that you're still human, but you can feel and then continue on with your life.
Yeah. No, I've just learned to just a huge part of me. I've learned to just let things go. And that's with anything, right? Like even other relationships too. So I guess I just kind of needed that reassurance to know, okay, you're heading in the right track.
Yep.
And people have told me this. It's just sometimes, again, we second guess ourselves. And then what tools, this is my last question, what tools would you say, a person can kind of implement in terms of how to heal your heart?
Okay.
Because I feel like there's still a lot of resentment on my part. Not obviously not where I used to be, but there's still a lot of resentment on my part. And I just feel like God needs to really heal my heart when it comes to my ex. Because, it's just, I don't know. I just feel like the way I respond, the way I react is.
Here's the thing about that. So that part, there's going to have to be a lot of like vulnerability with yourself of what your heart feels like, why. A lot of self-reflection. There's going to need to be moments of you really sitting and being with yourself and feeling and allowing yourself to be, so that you can process all of the different things that you feel. But to be honest, you really won't get to the true test of your heart until you get emotionally invested or attached to somebody else. Because that is how you end up practicing, like, okay, I know this reminds me of this over here, but I'm trying to not associate it with the same things of my past. How do I need to practice? I need to be aware that, hey, don't respond the way that you would normally, want to, because this person is not the same person that reminds you of X, Y, and Z. It truly is going to be very difficult to get to the completeness of the heart until your heart is invested in something else. And even that itself, I know, is scary, but that is what you're going to have to do. That's like a part 2 of what you're going to have to do. The part 1 is really being vulnerable, really breaking down your feelings and emotions of what it is that you feel. I knew for me, I had major trust issues because of that situation. And I didn't believe anything anybody said to me. Well, I didn't believe anything a man said to me. Nothing.
That part.
And I had to practice. Like, okay, How are you gonna respond though when someone that you actually are interested in says these things to you? Are you gonna let him know you're probably lying anyway? Or are you going to, like, get yourself together, not say things that you'll regret later? Like, what are you going to say? And even writing down what type of responses you want to be able to say. Writing down, well, the version of me that I want to be would respond and say this. She would not assume this. She would try to give the benefit of the doubt. This actually brings me to, before I answer the other questions, I want to drop 2 links. One is for all of you ladies to come into the one in October. The one in October is, let me share my screen. It is this here. Not that. Pumpkin spice and everything wise. So we're going to do some more stuff next month. Harvesting your potential, awakening your self-awareness, embracing your feminine energy, spice up your self-care routine, thriving through the tricks of transformation, which this is kind of a part of that, and from fear to fearless, conquering your inner demons. I want to drop the link for this so that you can go ahead and get your seat now. Of course, it's free. All of these are free. But if you're wanting to go in depth about, okay, step by step, I need videos to rewatch as many times as I need to rewatch it. I need to be in a position to where something is reminding me like, hey, you're not crazy, but these are the things you need to ask yourself to heal and also become a different version of yourself, resetting your mind. I'm only doing this. I've never done this so low. I'm not going to lie to you. This 90-day breakup blueprint and the Becoming Her bundle, these 2 things I want to give you ladies at an extremely discounted rate because I want us to keep the community together. But I also want to offer any woman who is really trying to figure out, like, okay, how do I go a little bit deeper? Because we'll only be able to see each other once a month. My husband is building me an app, you guys. So you'll have 2 apps that you can join, All Things Feminine and mine. It'll be called Adri. You all will be the first to know about it when it's dropped. But until my community is built, I'll still want to give you all something to look forward to, something to work on to prepare yourself for the new year or whatever time frame your goal is for you to, like, transition into becoming that woman. So I will drop both this link so that you can sign up ASAP. And this one, if you're interested in just having something that you can refer back to. And the first thing that I suggest you do, if you are going to do this, is the Trust and Trigger Reflection Worksheet. I have provided that to some of my coaching clients, and they were like, ooh, okay, I need some help. Like, my trust is shot. Like, I really need to figure out my triggers. I need to figure out this. I need to figure out that. So let me drop this so that if you're interested, you can have access to it. If you're not, you can just continue to join me in October and November and December. I will give you a hint. We are going to be talking about dating in December, like, of course. But until then, we are going to be so focused on ourselves. This is for October. Make sure you sign up. October. Yes. And this is, if you are wanting to have something to refer to, this is a great, I'm not going to lie, it's not just because I created it, but it is really a great bundle if you're trying to dive a little bit deeper and hold yourself accountable to not stay stuck emotionally. Blueprint bundle. This will always be an option with our sessions. It'll end probably by January, but I want to make sure that you all have an opportunity to dive into it. But hopefully that answered your question. I hope that you know that you are on the journey already. And in order to get to the matters of the heart, you're going to have to put yourself in a position to where your heart is being tested, but you can mentally prepare yourself for how you want to respond and how you want to show up. And you'll just have to practice continuing to try to do that over time. So I have a question in the chat.
Thank you.
You're so welcome, Sarah. What do you do when you're trying to let me see. What do you do when you're trying? Why isn't it scrolling? Okay, here we go. When you're trying to heal a breakup and you still live with your partner. When you're trying to heal from a breakup, ooh, that's tough. You're trying to heal from a breakup and you're still living with your partner. This is where it's very difficult for most women to do this, but this is where you turn your emotions off and your logic on. It's like a switch. You have to know when to turn it off, when to turn it on. So turn the emotional side of you off and mentally look at the situation from a logical perspective. We are roommates. I'm sure that you probably are still living together because it either might financially still make sense, or maybe both your names are on a lease, whatever the case might be. But you are still here for a particular reason, and it has nothing to do with how you feel, but whatever it is that actually makes sense to do. So because of that, you completely just focus solely on yourself, understanding why you're going through the breakup, what things have gotten you to this point where you would rather break up with this person, and not work things out with them, and truly understanding what things that you are going to require for yourself to not ever be placed in this position again. Does that mean getting your money or credit together to get your own apartment? Does that mean making extra money? Like, what does that mean for you so that you don't have to just literally see the person every day that you're trying to get away from? You're going to have to mentally really think about, this is like a means to an end. There's a goal in mind. There's something that I have to do. Doesn't mean, obviously, no dating or anything crazy at this time, but solely focusing on yourself and figuring out, okay, this is where I am now, but where do I want to be 6 months from now? How do I do that? Keeping a level of privacy about yourself too. You are no longer a couple. You are no longer together. You are no longer required to give more information than you would usually do that. There's a difference now. The access is no longer there. Keep a private life. Stick to figuring out what works best for you, and keep it as a mental game, in a sense, because the moment that you put emotions in it, it's going to make it more difficult. Of course you're going to feel, but mentally look at it as, all right, I'm here. Can I stack my money while I'm still here? What can I do while I'm still in this position? Because you don't want to waste any time of getting your life together just because that person is still around you. This is actually very common. I get a lot of women that end up in this situation when they're going through a divorce, actually. Okay. I think there was another one in the chat. I want to make sure I get. Okay, I think that's the only one I saw. Sign up. Okay. Cassandra, how can I help?
Oh my goodness. Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're unmuted.
Okay, awesome. So I'm in a spot where I have gotten completely overwhelmed, ended up in the ER, put on morphine because the pain was too much, just because I'd stressed myself out to the max. So I told myself, September, you're just focused on you, chill out, calm down.
Yeah.
However, my mother just told me yesterday that she's coming into town, and we are we do not get along. So I don't know. There's a part of me that's you were not in a space mentally where you can deal with her right now, but then there's the other part that's she's your mother and you do not see her really ever. So I don't know kind of what to do. And then I'm well, maybe set a boundary and okay, I'll see you for an hour or two. But then it's is that already me compromising my boundary, I guess, for someone else in a time where I really have gotten to a point where I cannot afford to do that anymore? So I don't know.
So your mom is coming she's not coming to live with you or stay with you.
No, she's just coming to visit. Yeah, she's just coming to town.
Okay. So what do you like really want to do?
I don't want to see her. I want to be able to be like, okay, hi, enjoy yourself while you're in town, because she's actually coming to see some friends of hers.
Okay.
But she's like calling like, I'd love to see you, this, that, and the third, and I'm like, okay, but it just, I mean, it goes real negative real quick with her.
Yeah.
So it's not ever just a quick like hi and bye type situation. So
Okay.
yeah.
I know it's tricky because it's your mom. But
Mhm.
I feel like when you start to set standards, and of course, there's going to be some people that you compromise that for. Some people are worth it. Some people are not. And regardless of if they're your mom, your dad, or whoever it is, if you've decided that they're not worth it, then I would try my best to stick with it. This would be very different if you're like, maybe I could just give an hour, but that's basically crossing a
Mhm.
boundary you already have set for yourself. So, I mean, if anything, maybe you could talk to her on the phone and let her know, like, you're busy, you're pretty booked, or whatever the case might be, and
Mhm.
wish her well, and I don't know, maybe, hey, here's some money for some coffee. I hope you have fun, but don't feel bad for not wanting to be in her presence if you know what her presence is going to do to yours. Um,
Mhm.
it's not worth you risking whatever environment you've created for yourself to thrive and to kind of do better in when she's away, especially because she's just dropping in. So it sucks when you have to do that with your mom, but you matter more than she does. I know it'd be difficult to not feel guilty because it's your mom, but I also feel like, well, it's my piece here. I'm trying to live
Yes.
my life. So a phone conversation, asking about her flight, letting her know you're busy, but you hope she has fun. Like, it doesn't have to be anything obviously disrespectful, but you don't have to
Mhm.
physically show up. I won't be able to see you, but I really hope that you have fun. I'm going to be super busy. Maybe another time, maybe a time when you're actually in a position to where you can handle it. If that time is not now, I would not compromise on it.
Okay.
And don't
That's
feel
fair.
bad.
All right.
Don't feel bad.
I just feel like it's life. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't always shy away from, situations because I'm not in a space mentally to
Yeah.
handle it.
Yes, that is true. And this is a good practice for you of standing on your boundaries. Even if it's
Yeah,
something as serious as your mom, like, you're still standing on your boundaries.
that's fair. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I saw the question, will we have access to the replay? So the replay will actually be inside of the bundle because it's probably one of the easiest ways for you to be able to sit back and rewatch it. So if you're interested in the replay, all of the replays that all of the recordings that we'll have will all be in that bundle. So if you're wanting to sit back and watch it for now until January, I highly suggest that. The price won't go up or change or anything. You'll keep access to it until, I believe you'll have access to it for 6 months. So that's like 6 months from the end of our last one, which is in January. So if you want the replay, definitely get the replay by visiting that. How do you set boundaries? Oh, wait, sorry, I skipped one. Do you think it's crazy to prepare for marriage intentionally in a 6-month period? Absolutely not. I don't think it's crazy to are you preparing for marriage with someone that you're dating, or you're just getting yourself prepared because you have a goal for yourself? Either way, I think that when you are intentional about something, there is nothing wrong with it as long as it's healthy. If you say, you know what, I want to get myself together, I want to make room for my future husband, I don't see anything wrong with that at all. I don't think it's crazy at all. How do you set boundaries for yourself? Are you saying for yourself as in things that you won't do, or things that you won't allow other people to do to you? Because if this is for things that you won't allow other people to do to you, I would start with getting accustomed to saying no. That's probably the biggest thing that you can do. Get accustomed to saying the word no. But if you have boundaries for you, as in these are things that I cannot like do for other people, you, especially if you're like a very giving person, you probably are going to have affirmations to help you keep this on your forefront. Because if you're very giving, very helpful, you're always wanting to be a part of, helping somebody in some type of way, it's going to be very easy to neglect the boundaries that you have. For clarity, by purchasing the bundle today, we will still have access 6 months. Yes, 6 months after January. It is difficult. I think it's difficult because our hearts, a lot of people don't understand the way women are wired. They make jokes about how emotional we are or how emotional we can be, but they don't realize that our emotions are tied to a lot of different things. And it's what makes it easy for people to get over on us. Because we are emotional, because we're giving, because naturally we are nurturing, we're caring, we're kind, we're gentle. We just might have gotten hardened because of situations that may have happened, but naturally it's in our heart to give and have that unconditional love for people. It's the same things that we are for other people, or how we naturally are, ends up being what backfires us, because we do it without limits, and we have to just learn how to have a balance. Can we use your book as a resource for this community? Yes. So I'm not sure which book in particular you're referring to, but there is the Breakup Blueprint, which I highly suggest every woman. I'll send an email of that. I highly suggest any woman who is transitioning her life after a major breakup or divorce, highly suggest that book. Because it's not just the like, oh, this is how you just get over things. No, it's like self-reflection questions that help guide you as you are transitioning in your healing journey. That one, and of course, Identity Switch. Identity Switch goes in depth about the journey that I just spoke to you all about prior to my marriage now, and how I was so confused about things. And when I finally was able to realize, oh, so this is where I've been messing up. Now, how can I take over my life, gain control of it again, and continue to progress? And instead of, decline of all the things, decline in every way possible, of like, okay, now you're just going to fall short of all of the things that you know better. Are we going to move forward, or are we going to move backwards? Like, what are we going to do? So that book goes into detail, and it is also a very good book for young adults. I'm on a true journey of writing more, because I'm like, okay, I have the time, have the freaking experience, and I really want women to just be able to get to a point in their lives where they're able to rely on something and see how, if you just choose to, you have the ability to transition your life, and you don't have to allow whatever things that you've gone through, experiences that you've had, however the beginning started for you, you don't have to allow that to be the end all be all. You don't. Identity Switch is that. Like, truly, I don't know. I couldn't tell you in the moment, if somebody would have told me during that stage of my life that I would be living the life that I live now, I wouldn't have believed them. You couldn't have paid me to believe it. The only reason it happened is because I figured out a way to keep going. And I know that my situation is very similar to many, many, many of you. And if nothing else, both of those books will help you not feel like you're by yourself, because you're not. If I can do it, 3 kids, I got pregnant on my first time. Like, when you hear about, you're losing your virginity and all this, is supposed to be all special and sweet. I'm pretty sure I got pregnant off of pre-cum. And I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm pretty sure I got pregnant off of pre-cum, girls. If I am able to figure out how to move on with my life after that, so can you. I'm so glad you got that for you and your daughter. Like, seriously, that book is truly a game changer. At some point, me and my mom might do a book tour. We were going to do one before, but then we had so many other things come up at the last minute. But that book is a game changer of perspective. Perspective. Like you got to change your perspective. How to not allow people yourself to not feel low value after 2 children. Ooh, this is a great question. Wow, we're going to end it on after this question. 2 fathers and believe you're worthy of love, marriage, views embedded by my own father and also my child's father. D, I need you to get on this speaker. I want to talk to you. I need you to unmute yourself. Let me see if I can find you so I can request for you to unmute yourself, because we got to talk before you leave. Here you are. Can you hear me? Okay, I want to make sure it looks like D is unmuted, but I want to make sure she can talk to me.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Come through, girl. Come through, because we got to talk. Let me add this last, because I know the link is getting lost in the chat. Blueprints bundle. I'll also send an email if you're wanting to sign up. I know some of you are driving, so you can't click the link. So D, let me be the first person to tell you that is bullshit. Okay? I know that it might not feel like it or seem like it if it's something that you're surrounded by. But please, if nothing else, let my life be the reason why those statements are bullshit. Do you know why it's bullshit? Please, please, just, let me tell you why it's bullshit. The reason why it's bullshit is because there are 2 different sets of men. And like I said, we're going to talk about dating in December, because that's going to be very fun. But there's 2 sets of men. There are some men who responds to, who looks at a woman's value, her currency that she uses is either financial or femininity. So the men who look at a woman's worth financially will never be able to value a woman who has something else to offer outside of tangible things. So we want to get you to where you are only dealing with men who care about pieces of you that have nothing to do with anything other than who you are as a woman. Because that's what's valuable. Believe it or not, when you hear men talk about the things that they want in a wife, when you hear the type of men that we all actually respect talk about what they want in a wife, they don't care if she has kids. They might care if her kids are bad. They might care if she doesn't allow them to parent her kids. They might care about stuff like that. But they may not care. They won't care if she has kids, especially if they also have kids themselves. For every single mom, there is a single dad. I don't know why the world seems to have a disconnect, as if we're getting ourselves pregnant and there's not someone else who also is a single dad. For every single mom, there's a single dad. And the thing is, when you can learn, I'm not sure if you know how or not already, but when you can learn how to lead with who you are as a woman, you won't just be a single mom. You'll be a mom. You'll be a woman who happens to have kids, because that is not just your identity. You are so much more than a person who has kids. And some men who care about the financial aspect of, well, what does she bring to the table? What does she have to offer? Blah, 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 blah. Those men, they care about a different set of things than other men. And I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with that, because there are some women who lead with, I have this, I have that, and yada, yada, yada. The problem is sometimes us having kids, we feel like it's a burden. We feel like it's a shameful thing to say, because we forget that, hello, there's men who also have kids who want a good role model for their daughters. That is one of the reasons why it's bullshit. Do you not know that there are men who they're widowed, or they're divorced, or they had a child by a woman who was unfit, and they want a woman in their child's life to either show them how a woman should love a man, or be how a woman should be a woman. They can care less if you have kids, because they might also have kids too. I highly suggest a woman with kids dating a man with kids, because it's easier to feel understood that way. So please remember, when people say that to you, be like, Adriana said that's bullshit. Adriana got married with having 3 kids.
Yeah.
Adriana is provided for. That's bullshit. And it's not uncommon. It's only uncommon to us because we are not taught or trained how to go after men in the first place. And we think our value comes from what we can physically do or what tangible things we can offer. If you tap in to the feminine version of yourself, the nurturing version of yourself, the understanding version of yourself, the kind version of yourself, you will be surprised at how many men will want to wife you because of how you make them feel. They'll be like, I don't care about them kids. Okay, you need help. I will help you with these kids if this means you will keep pouring into me and making me feel important and being by my side and being supportive. That's a different language, though, than the men who are like, what you bring to the table and all that BS. I feel so strongly about this because even on my own journey, I didn't see it. I didn't see what my position was at the time of being divorced with kids. I didn't see other women, basically kind of advocating for, hey, like, this is the norm. Usher's mama was a single mom. She got married twice. We all know Marjorie Harvey secured the bag. Jeff Bezos married a single mom with 3 kids. So again, I say bullshit. Okay?
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Whatever you need to remember that. Please don't let anybody's foolishness keep you from believing that you are able to have what you know you deserve and your kids deserve.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I think I saw one more before we go. Yes, there will be access to the replay, but it will be inside the bundle because it'll make it easier for you to watch all the replays as we go into January. So I'm going to put the link here again, just so that you have access to it. And then I'll also send an email for anyone who's not able to actually take a look at it right now because, you might be driving or whatever the case might be. It is 2:00, y'all. I was not supposed to keep y'all for this long, but Camille, let me answer this before we go. How do you know what your worth is, whether it's high or low? Can people see or tell when you're not confrontational? So how do you know what your worth is? You basically assess what things you allow. For example, do you think that somebody whose worth is high would allow just any type of person to get their phone number? No. Do you think a person who values themselves in a high manner will walk out the house looking like somebody's tired ass mama, even if she is somebody's tired ass mama? No. Do you think someone who values themselves and has a high value for themselves would not take care of themselves? No. It's truly about what it is that you are doing for yourself, because whatever it is that you are or are not doing, people feed off of that. Because I was someone who had low self-esteem, I can immediately tell when another woman is not confident in herself and has low self-esteem. I'm nicer to her because of it, but not everybody is. Some people take advantage of it. A woman who truly understands her value, for one, we don't do all that back and forth with people that has no value to our lives. We don't. We put ourselves in a position to where people end up needing us more than we need them. And you can tell by like how often somebody comes to you and they're asking you for your help, or they're asking you for a listening ear, or they're asking you for your opinion. If you have low self-worth, you will recognize that by seeing what patterns you've allowed in your life. How many times have you allowed somebody to take advantage of you? How many times have you not spoken up for yourself? How many times have you been, too tired to do your hair, or too tired to care about how you look in the morning? How are you taking care of yourself? The self-value has nothing to do with anybody else, but what you do for yourself. And what you do for yourself is what trains people to know, oh, she doesn't play about herself. So she probably has high self-esteem. You can always look at a woman and tell that a man probably takes good care of her, or she probably takes really good care of herself. And it makes you kind of want to straighten your hair when you're around them, like, dang, like she always put together. Man, like I can only imagine what her life is like, because she cares about herself. So then they associate that with, like, she has high value because she looks the part. She talks well. She's not temperamental. She knows how to speak and have conversations. She's not bitchy all the time. She's actually nice. She's easygoing. Like she seems like a nice person. Like, wow, truly, it's not anything deeper than that. It's how you take care of yourself that determines your self-value or your self-worth. If you don't take care of yourself well, it's what will make you look like you're not worth as much that as you might know in your heart you are, but you're not showing up for yourself. So it's not showing up in front of other people. That is how you know where you stand on your value. When you go out, when you're around people, what kind of reactions are you getting? If you're getting scrubby people all the time coming up to you, it's probably because you're a mirror of yourself, because that's how you're presenting yourself. When you don't care, you train other people to not care about you. When a woman has high self-value or self-worth, there are simply things that she will and will not do. She just won't, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for me to give you my time, because I care so much about it that you have to be a very special person to get on my schedule. You should never be extremely easily accessible. Women who value themselves don't let people just drain them. They don't even let your kids do that. Kids will even know, mom's relaxing, leave her alone. It's truly all about how you take care of you that sets the tone and standard for where you are when it comes to your self-value and your self-worth. All right, ladies, I'm so glad that you were able to join me. It was a great conversation. I hope that answered your question, Camille. I can't wait to see you soon. I'll be seeing you on, I believe, Thursday. You're so welcome, Renee. Thank you, Kimberly. I'm so glad that you ladies were here. I'm going to also send the link again to make sure you are here in October, because we have some things to talk about. Oh! Well, I'm glad to always be taking the coins, because that means that you feel like you're getting something every time you purchase something. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you trusting me in this journey of your life. Ladies, thank you so much. Please enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I will see you again in October. Bye.